everybody, my name is Rosie, and today we're going to talk about Goodwill. Are they too expensive? What is Goodwill anyway? And is it ethical for resellers to shop there? So, let's dig in. What is Goodwill? Well, some people think it's a nonprofit. Some people think they're not a nonprofit. They actually are a nonprofit, which is a 501c3 organization. Basically, this means that they're tax exempt and all of the profits that they get from their business have to mandatorily go back into their business, paying employees, paying their overhead costs, or going back to build up programs or like reservation funds for the organization. So Goodwill is a nonprofit organization. Yes, they do get their items donated. And yes, they are charging higher prices. So why is Goodwill charging higher prices? Is it because of resellers? No, it's not because of resellers. If you expect the prices at Goodwill to be the same as they were in 2001 or 2010, you are not looking at the price of inflation. Unfortunately, the overall prices of goods and services have gone up, and so have the prices at Goodwill. That's because you have to pay your laborers more, your insurance is more expensive. Everything over time starts to get more expensive. And so, unfortunately, Goodwill's prices have reflected that. And at the same time, reseller prices also have to reflect that, because if they're buying things at a Goodwill for, say, X amount of cost, they still have to make a profit. And so getting mad about reseller prices or getting mad about Goodwill prices, unfortunately, I think it's just a waste of all resellers' time, because there's nothing we can do about it, number one. And number two, Goodwill is just trying to support their own programs. Now, you may have heard that local executives in your local Goodwill are getting paid a lot of money. For example, there was a year that the director of the Portland Goodwill made $400,000 in their salary for that year, which is humongous. However, think of all of the different managers of other Fortune 500 companies. I mean, huge organizations as big as Goodwill, they're getting paid millions and millions of dollars to run these organizations. So, comparatively to other big executive, Goodwill is actually a pretty reasonable organization as far as their pricing structures. Now, do they have some crazy, weird off their prices? There's some evening gowns at my local Goodwill that are like $200 plus, which again, did they really cost that much in the first place? Questionable. But they have to pay those laborers, and as most resellers know, clothes at thrift stores are dirty, and so there's processing that people have to do. People donate literal trash to Goodwill, and so their employees have to sit there and literally dig through dirty diapers, disgusting like used tampons, like all sorts of bodily excrement, and they deserve to get paid way more than they do. Honestly, I think that thrifted goods are such an undervalued resource. We expect them to be cheap, but there's so much resource costs and labor costs inside of every single garment that I think it's really a shame that we just kind of forget about how much that is necessary for a thrift store to actually function. So, is Goodwill overpriced? Maybe a little, depending on the area, but my hot take is that it's not. If resellers are, buying items at Goodwill and flipping them to make money, and it's not the reseller's fault that prices have gone up, it's, labor, inflation, just prices raising over time, where does that leave resellers? Is reselling even a viable business strategy in today's market? And the answer I have to that is sometimes. I have talked to a lot of people on Instagram lately who are really, really, really frustrated about their resale business. They are not making enough money to make it worth them. They feel like all they're doing is just throwing time and throwing time and throwing time into it. And that's because, hot take, a lot of the items at Goodwill are priced in a way that resellers just simply cannot make enough money off of them to make it worth their time, especially when you take all the time, like say on Poshmark, boosting your posts, or a cross listing, or a lot of stuff like that. And so the secret is, I I think a lot of resellers need to ditch Goodwill. Goodwill is great, and they do a lot of great things for the community. But their prices are rising, and for good reason. But in order to continue selling bread and butter brands like American Eagle, I can't buy a pair of American Eagle jeans for $9 and resell them for $20. There's no money in that for me. Do I think that $9 isn't a reasonable ask for a pair of American Eagle jeans at a Goodwill? Yeah, I do. They have to pay their employees too. So this is where I come to the actual answer to this problem. We need to ditch Goodwill. Resellers as a whole. Goodwills are fun. I visit them once in a while. I will occasionally flip things from a normal Goodwill store. But most of the time, really where people need to go are garage sales, local retro or vintage sellers. You could try storage unit liquidations, local auctions, estate sales. I mean, there's so many different ways that people can source that skate around Goodwill as an organization. And so, do I think that Goodwill is taking advantage of people? No. Do I think resellers are taking advantage of people? No. Go out. Go forth, find other places to source other than Goodwill, and I think that you will really find that your profit margins go higher. But that's just me, and that is a lot of why I don't usually source at regular Goodwill locations. Now, I'm not talking about the Goodwill outlets. The Goodwill outlets are a completely different story, which we will talk about another time. But thank you for listening to my hot take on what is Goodwill? Are their prices too expensive? And should resellers shop there? I can't wait to see you next time on my next video. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below or reach out to me at Visibly Sold on Instagram or Facebook. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.